These are three problems which Hyderabad is facing, all of us are facing. Therefore, we should apply your mind and think of these issues also. The society is looking forward for a new and innovative thinking from young and budding engineers. So, reach the top positions among the millions of people. Don't be one among billions of people. So, always be in the top of the millions of engineers which are passing through every year. So, but be always in the top. Not don't be like one among several million people. Every year passes. This is my appeal on this occasion. So then, traditionally, we believe that magic is an excellent thing for us in our life, for excellent entertainment aspect. It is time to revive our faith in magic of different kind. Let the imagination, creativity, perseverance be our wings, and those wings let us ride. On those wings, let us ride and explore the magical world of our creation. Let the magic begin. Finally, I conclude by wishing Phoenix 13 a grand success. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Shantanu Paul Garu. And before we listen to him, let us know more about our esteemed guest from our Professor Satyakiran Garu, Training and Placement Officer, VGI.
I had been very strongly warned by Dr. Paul not to give an MD CV, but so I'm going to defy you because there's so much to say that I wonder where to start and certainly do not know where to end. When John F. Kennedy, the ex-US president, was asked what is leadership, he said, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and ask why not." So leadership is about inspiration, leadership is about teamwork, leadership is about creating an environment of optimism, but leadership essentially is about vision. And I'm extremely glad that we have Dr. Paul grace the occasion as guest of honor. Dr. Paul is the founding Chief Executive Officer of Talent Sprint, one of the most exciting institutions in the learning, training, and professional skill development space. Prior to founding Talent Sprint, Dr. Paul was a Senior Vice President of Virtusa Corporation. He was also the General Manager of the BFSI vertical. And prior to that, he founded a company called Viveka, which was later acquired by a leading market research, market intelligence company in the US called Open Pages, in which he served as the Chief Technology Officer. Now, just about every major conference that I've been to in the last 3 months, the common denominator seems to be Dr. Paul's vice counsel, and he seems to be a keynote speaker, which only goes to show the kind of standing that he has in the IT industry. Dr. Paul did a bachelor's degree in computer science from the super prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and went on to do a master's in computer science from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and followed it up with a PhD from the same institution. He is a pre-doctoral fellow, the Rackham pre-doctoral fellow. For all of those who know this, University of Michigan at Ann Arbor is the high temple of computer science in the world. He is also an IBM Canada fellow. He is on the board of the IDRBT, which is the Institute for the Development and Research in Banking Technology, and he's currently serving as the Vice President of ITSAP, which is the leading industry body as far as the IT industry is concerned in Andhra Pradesh. Thank you very much, sir. I have been able to beat myself by keeping the speech short, and we are extremely honored and privileged to have you address the students on the challenges facing students as far as skill sets are concerned. Thank you very much.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you, Kiran. I hope you're talking about me and not somebody else. But that was a very kind introduction from your side. And I should begin by really appreciating and thanking a lot of very important people here. In fact, RQKT Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajkumar, I think he's an outstanding academic as well as institution builder. I think that's going to be one of the great institutions that I'm looking forward to, that's going to get big in this country under your leadership, because I know what kind of work is being done there. Also would like to pass my regards on in absentia to Professor Raj Reddy, even though he's not here. I know he's a very instrumental part. He came to our office and we had a great interaction. Dr. Venugopal Reddy, thank you very much for inviting me here. Dr. Padmaja, Professor Srinivas, and Professor Zafrullah, who inspired me with his invocation of in Sanskrit. So I thought I'll put my own little, starting point around Saraswati. I was really impressed by the four young ladies who did the invocation here. I told the principal that I'd like to take them from time to time for doing invocations in Talent Sprint, if that is okay. Beautiful. So I thought, when I did my PhD in computer science in University of Michigan, after finishing my thesis, I was thinking and sitting and thinking that I should write something in the beginning, because here I am an Indian student in an American university submitting a thesis, which I'm sure will get through, etc. I thought the first page I should write something that is related to knowledge and to Saraswati. So then after a lot of thought, I said, let me write this one simple shloka, which many of you may know, some of you may not. A beautiful shloka which says, Apurva kopi koshayam vidyate tava bharati vaito vriddhimayati shayamayati sanchaya. What it means is, knowledge is the only treasure, the only wealth we can accumulate in our lives, which actually grows when you give it away. If you try to store it, conceal it, stash it, put in a locker, it's the only treasure that actually will decline. If you start to share, if you start to give, if you start to spread it, that wealth will increase. So I thought that's actually very interesting. We are looking at knowledge as wealth and knowledge as power. The name of this institution also inspires me, Vidya Jyoti. Now, all of you know that the whole idea of knowledge is Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. We are moving from darkness to light, moving towards awakening and learning, and that's why we also have the invocation lamps that we start with, right? So Vidya Jyoti, I think this institute is actually giving all of your students and all those who are participating today, it's a great chance to imbibe the power of knowledge. And knowledge as a power is the most sustaining power in our lives. And I'm sure that all of you in the next 2 days will have a great time. So I really compliment all the organizers of Phoenix 2013 for putting together this wonderful show, and I'm sure it will go extremely well. And from what I've heard, the agenda sounds very, very exciting, and I'm really glad that you have literary programs and other kinds of programs as well. So all that sounds very good. So my agenda this morning is to give you and share with you some thoughts and some ideas of what really we are going to experience as individuals. All of you are perhaps, except for a few of us who are past our 40s and 50s, the rest of the room here is full of people in their early 20s, or even less, perhaps not even 20. So therefore, you have an enormous amount of opportunity ahead of you. I know that the current season of industrial placement, etc., is very depressing for many of you. But I will tell you that, in this world, if there's one thing that you've realized, excellence has no competition. It's only when we have a lot of mediocrity, there is a lot of competition. Mediocrity or mediocre performance, mediocre people have a lot of competition, but excellence still remains a very rare commodity. And because of that, anybody who is pursuing excellence in a real way really has no competition in life. And we are seeing that even today. Outstanding students are being picked up by industry, they're doing great things, people are becoming entrepreneurs, lots of good things are happening. So the first thing I want to tell you is there's absolutely no reason to not have hope. In fact, I want all of you to be extremely optimistic about what is happening and what is going to happen in the future for all of you. In fact, Director Reddy actually mentioned this point about why be one among the millions. Today in India, this year, for example, there will be 4 million or 40 lakh college graduates who will come out. There will be 8 lakh of them who are engineers. And who wants to be one of 8 lakh engineers? It's undifferentiated. We all want to be unique. So what I'll do here now in the next few minutes, hopefully, is to give you a sense of what it will take for us to be excellent. So what I really want to tell you is, excellence, pursuit of excellence is the goal that you have, and you should really pursue it with great sincerity, right? Let me ask you a question to the audience. What is the opposite of the word interesting? What is the opposite of the word interesting? Interesting? Opposite is what? Boring. Okay. How many times in life do we sit through situations, we go to a class, when I was a student like you, I used to go to class and say, my God, half the classes or more than half the classes are very boring. Does it happen to you? Alright. So boring is common. So in real life, if you look at it, majority, minority, right? Majority stuff is boring, minority is interesting. Is that true? Interesting is minority, right? So now tell me, do you want to be part of majority or part of minority? Minority. Never forget that. In life, if you want to be part of the majority, you're going to end up on the wrong side. So your goal is to end up on that minority. By very definition, excellence is something that few people can achieve. Therefore, achieving it has a very high value and very high premium. So let me tell you the 3-4 things you have to do in life to be excellent. I'll start with a simple one, right? The first and foremost thing I want to talk about is you have to learn to be different than everybody around you. Now, it's a very dangerous thing to say because everybody in our life tells us, don't be different, be the same. In fact, the biggest danger I see even in interviews when we interview students from one part of companies is that everybody sounds the same. The resumes are the same, right? What they say is the same. They're cut and paste from the same Google page. Everything is identical. So if you are now part of this 8 lakh engineers I talked about, so 8 lakh engineers come out in the country. How many come out in Andhra Pradesh? Do you know? Engineers? 1.5 to 2 lakhs, let's say, conservatively, right? Of this 1.5 to 2 lakhs, IT industry is picking up probably 20,000, 25,000 right now? Yeah, not more than that. So 20% of these people will be picked up by the local industry. However, people go to other industries. That's fine. The point I'm making is, if you want to be part of the minority which is getting selected, you need to be the same as everybody else, or do you need to be different? Different. Very good. So now let's pursue that angle of being different. For example, how can you be different? That is the first thing I want to ask you, right? For example, if a student comes to a company and says, I spent 4 years doing engineering. I got 80% marks in electronics or computer science or mechanical, it doesn't matter. But I did one more thing. I actually went and learned Spanish as a foreign language while I was in college. I spent some time, I went for the last 3rd and 4th year, I went and took a Spanish course. Maybe I took it online, maybe I took it through a thing, but I learned a foreign language. The first thing that will happen in the mind of the interviewer is, this student is different. This student is not like the other students I normally experience. Therefore, you have just moved from the majority bucket to the minority bucket. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Let's say another situation. A student comes and says, I spent 4 years, got 75% marks in electrical, doing very well, etc., but I'm looking for a job. Okay, have you done something different? Well, I actually, online platform, I logged in, I found that somebody in Germany was giving out a small project to do. I did the project for him and I made $500 doing that. Have you heard of Elance? Go look at Elance, Odesk, these are all platforms where you can actually go and bid for projects and you can do them. And they can be any kind of project. You can make money, you can be successful, you can build a skill, you can build a resume. So if somebody says, I went to Elance and did this $500 project and I made money, I will say this person is different. Because most people don't do this. Are you following me on this whole thing? So we are looking for that difference. If you come and say, I actually learned how to become a mountaineer. I am a 2nd grade level certified mountaineer who has climbed a reasonable hill. I went to Rajasthan, climbed the Aravalli hills, and I went to the peak. Okay? So therefore, apart from engineering, I've also done something different. Any of these skills, if you show that you are different, you are not part of the herd mentality, you're not part of the masses, you're not part of the majority. Apart from doing all the things you're supposed to do, you have done something interesting, done something different. Then you become a part of that interesting minority. Remember I said, majority is boring, minority is interesting. You have to become interesting yourself if you want to be differentiated and become part of that unique minority. There is a nice saying, one of my colleagues in my company, his name is Ahmed Khalid, he has a nice little footnote when he sends an email. The footnote says, you are never remembered for doing only what is expected of you. Did you understand that? You are never remembered for doing only what is expected. You must do something that is unexpected. Only then you become interesting, you become different. So first thing is, be different. Do not try to be part of the masses, part of the herd. The second point I want to make is dreaming big. The biggest danger I think we have to overcome, all of us in our lives, and that includes all of us on the stage also. It's not a gyan for you, only it's a gyan for all of us. We all have to learn to dream big. The biggest danger is we all dream small. If we dream small, we achieve something that is even less. There's an old saying that if you aim for the stars, you will at least hit the top of the tree. If you aim for the tree, you will hit the bottom of the tree. So at least aim high. If you aim for the stars, at very least you will hit the top of the tree. So dreaming big is extremely important. I'll give you a simple example of my personal experience I've had. When I was 20 years ago, I'm from Calcutta, so I come from home from the US, and at that time, I was just, as Kiran mentioned, I just started this company called Viveka. This is a young boy of 20 years old came to see me out of the blue. I didn't know him. His father sent him to my father, so this boy shows up in my office. And he says, "Sir, I have to take your help. You have to take me to the US. I said, "Why? What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing BSc second year in physics." I said, "Why do you want to go to the US? He said, "I want to become a programmer." So I said, it was like any other fellow, hundreds and thousands of people in India want to go to the US to be a programmer. So I said, "Why do you want to do that?" Because most of the time the answer is, "I want to make money." Right? That's the usual answer. But this guy gave me a startlingly different answer. He said, "My goal is, by the time I'm 28, I want to be recognized as one of the best programmers in the world." Right? That is dreaming big. He did not say, "I want to make $50,000 US. He said, "I want to be recognized as one of the best programmers in the world by the time I'm 28. His name is Saurabh Biswas. I actually made sure he went with me. I took him back to the US, put him in my company. This year he won IBM Impact Award, right, for being one of the best programmers. Of course, he's 35 years old now. But the point still is that ambition was there when he was very, very young. So dreaming big is an important component. So be different, dream big. The third point I want to make, which is perhaps something that you should really take seriously now, is working very hard is not an option. Whether you're smart, extra smart, half smart, it doesn't matter. Working hard is not an option. It is a requirement. It is a requirement. I'll just give this example. That, I don't know how many of you watch football. Anybody watches football? European football, anybody watches? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. We all watch sports, right? How many of you know about, so this year, for example, who is the top ranked goalkeeper in the world? I'm hearing. I'm listening. Who is the best, highest ranked goalkeeper in the world? Iker Casillas. Very good. Where you please stand up? Give a round of applause. Who said that? Very good. What's your name? John. Excellent, John. Keep it up. So Iker Casillas is ranked number 2 in the world in terms of footballers, only second to Cristiano Ronaldo. And he's actually ahead of Messi. Messi is number 3, which just imagine that. So Iker Casillas is the goalkeeper of Spain. He's the captain of Spain. Last 7 years, he's been the number 1 goalkeeper. You know what his success track is? 1 World Cup, 2 European Cups, 2 European Leagues as captain. So in other words, probably has the best track record of any captain in football ever. Right? Okay. How many hours a day do you think today Iker Casillas will practice as a goalkeeper? How many hours will he spend practicing? Not playing a match, practicing per day. Can you guess? Huh? 10 hours a day. After achieving all that, he is still practicing 10 hours a day. Why is he doing that? Is he a fool? Many people say he's a fool. I mean, look at it. He's made all the money, he's got all the fame, he can't go any further, but he's working so hard. Why is he doing that? Because he's pursuing something bigger. He's pursuing perfection. Perfection means not competing with somebody on your left or your right. It means competing with yourself. Right? If you raise a good bar and you want other people to kind of compete with you, the only way you can actually be excellent in the long term, if you pursue excellence, is to compete with yourself. And that's exactly what Iker Casillas does. So if all of us are actually taking the spirit that we want to be different, we want to dream big, and we also want to work very hard. Ever be anything other than exceptional if you pursue this combination of things. And I want all of you to pursue that, because it's very easy to say that a lot of people come from industry and will give you negative things about how people are not ready and industry is this and academia is this. I don't really believe in any of that. My simple point is, in each of us there is outstanding potential, outstanding excellence. We just have to bring it out and make it work. Always remember that in biology, right, all of us have a unique DNA. Not one person in this world, ever born, now or in the future, will be exactly like you. In that uniqueness lies your potential, lies your greatness. You have to bring it out and make it happen. I'll end with a couple of quick comments. I know I'm over time, but I'll end with a couple of quick comments. One thing I always say is that, and this was reminded recently to us, we had a guest from a senior person of Microsoft come to Talent Sprint, gave a speech, and he's a good friend of mine. He was my classmate in IIT. His name is Srini Chandrasekhar. So Srini said this to our students. He said, look, the problem is, people want to know, should I be one skilled person, I'm like, there are a lot of people here who just say, I want to be a Java engineer, right? For example, that's one kind of obsession. Just I want to be this narrow thing. The other are people who want to say, every 2 years, last 2 years I did Java, now I want to do testing, then I want to do .NET, then I want to do something else, PHP. So every 2 years they want something totally different. We have both kinds of crazy people in this country, right? My point is that the answer is neither in those two. You actually have to find the answer by saying that build depth in 1 or 2 areas. In 1 or 2 areas, you must be really seen as best. Okay? Then build breadth. So if you are somebody who is an expert in X or Y skills, technology, whatever it is, and the rest of it build knowledge, breadth, general knowledge, right? In fact, the reason I think is very important is, people have this, we are left brain people. Engineers are left brain. You know what left brain is? Do you know left brain, right brain concept?
Logic oriented.
Yeah, left brain people are who are using logic all the time. Right brain people are using intuition, creativity. How does your intuition improve? By doing creative things. If you write a poem, if you write a novel, if you write a book, if you go paint something, if you play a video game, by the way, interestingly enough, it's a right brain activity. It will improve your ability to be intuitive. So I want all of you to think that when you build this combination, build your left brain, which engineering will teach you anyway, but also build your right brain as you go along, because the creativity and intuition will take you very far in life. Okay. I'll end with a simple point, which really is about a specific point around this. I know a lot of you perhaps come from areas of the state or country where you don't grow up speaking English, right? And there's always hesitation during interviews that I can't speak English. I will not speak out in English because I'm afraid of being wrong. Well, I have very good news for you. If you ever talk to an American, you will find Americans and British people do not care at all about your grammar. They do not care about your grammar. If your grammar is wrong, they are perfectly okay in business situations. As long as you are expressing yourself reasonably clearly and you are willing to talk reasonably, clearly and comfortably, your English grammar is not an issue. So I always want to tell people that become communicative. Learn to communicate in the best way you can. Don't try to become an English expert. There's no need for it. So with all that, I will conclude now. I have a great regard to the institution. I've been watching and hearing things from people like Kiran and also Professor Raju Reddy. I think this is a great institution. I think all of you that are part of it and all of you who are here for the event next couple of days, you'll have a great time. So thank you very much for having me here, and I hope that all of you have an outstanding time and great careers ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Prasanna Lakshmi ma'am to come forward to introduce us the chief guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to one and all. I, Prasanna, Faculty of English, deem it a great privilege to introduce the chief guest for today. The chief guest for today's inaugural ceremony is Professor R.V. Rajakumar Garu, Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies, IIIT, Gachibowli. Ratnam Varada Rajakumar Garu was born in Machilipatnam, Andhra Pradesh. He received his BE degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, topping all branches of engineering in the year 1980. He did his MTech in Microwave and Radar Engineering and PhD in Digital Signal Processing in 1982 and 1987 respectively from IIT Kharagpur. He started his career as faculty in the year 1984. He has been serving as a professor of Electronics and Communications Engineering at IIT Kharagpur. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. The leader present here is Professor R.V. Rajakumar Garu, who is the Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies. He is actively engaged in meeting the challenges of building this new university into a model for quality engineering education. He also served as the Dean of Academic Affairs of IIT Kharagpur from 2003 to 2006. He is the chairman of the G.S. Sanyal School of Telecommunications. He served as a member of several national level committees of MHRD, DRDO, MIT, and DOD. He was at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in 1988 on a visiting assignment. His research includes digital signal processing, wireless communications, detection and estimation theory, and VLSI systems for communications. He has several research papers in reputed international journals and conferences. He has supervised over 130 students. He authored 3 video courses which were telecasted nationwide. He is presently engaged in active research on green radio, cognitive radio, and GLRT-based detection systems. The Boy Scout research grant from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India in the year 1987, the Baroda Chapter National Award of IST in the year 2007, and the Best Student Paper Award in the year 1984, IEEE Region 10 Graduate Paper Contest are a few of the numerous awards and distinctions held by him. We are privileged to have this luminary as our chief guest. I request you, sir, to please come forward and address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very long an introduction. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you all here this morning. Indeed, it's very appropriate for an institution with the name Vidya Jyoti to start the function by an invocation to Goddess Saraswati and Jyoti Prachurana, and certainly Professor Jafarullah. This is your slokam is the best piece of the whole evening of that. Well, members on the dais, and the young students, ladies and gentlemen. The techno-managerial functions are management